Hi you guys, welcome to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Grace and I'm so glad that you're here. And if you are returning, welcome back. Hopefully you watched part 1. I will link it below and floating around up here if you haven't. So this is 10 pieces of advice that I'm talking to new twin mamas or multiple mamas or soon to be multiple mamas, whatever. I have been a mama, a twin mama, for 8 months now, and so all of these things I have learned the hard way or the research I did before I actually had the babies. But these are the vital things that I want to share with you. So I have a coffee with me. Grab a drink. We're just gonna have a mama to mama conversation about becoming a multiples mama, because it is quite the journey. It is a beautiful, exciting journey, but it is quite the journey. So let's just jump right in. I don't think this video will be as long as the last one, but who knows? I always say that, and it never is. Okay. All right. I might make a couple people mad with this one, but here we go. Being a new mama, whether it's a singleton or quads, you're going to get a lot of advice. But especially if you have multiples, you are going to get so much advice, which is wonderful. Advice is beautiful. Always be gracious when you receive advice. However, many advice as a multiples mama needs to go in one ear and out the other. And not in a rude way. But unless you have had multiples, much of the advice that you're going to receive from singleton mamas, a lot of it isn't going to be relevant. Again, I'm not saying be rude and say like, I don't want to hear it. But you don't have to take everything to heart that you get from singleton mamas. And I don't want it to sound like singleton mamas don't know what they're talking about. But you as a multiples mama, giving advice to a singleton mama isn't going to be super relevant sometimes because the journey is just so different. So sometimes when you're pregnant, you just feel like, oh, I need all the information, give it to me all, and I need to buy all the things and blah, 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 blah. You really just need to take a step back, take a breath, and really think about what's relevant to you. And if it's not relevant to you, you can let it go. I'm giving you permission to let it go. But there is a specific individual who's going to think that they can give you all the advice in the world, and they can't. And again, I'm not bashing this person, but I'm just trying to let you know that the journey is different. And that is a mama of Irish twins. And if you don't know what Irish twins are, I don't know the specific, difference, but it's like, if someone has twins that are less than 14 months apart or something like that, or 12 months apart, people that had two babies very close together, but they're not twins. So the babies might be, 10 months apart. Ooh, that would be really close. Or the babies might be 14 months apart. Those are called Irish twins. That is a difficult journey. Don't get me wrong. That's what my sister had. She had Irish twins. One through a biological baby and then one through adoption. But they were 7.5 months apart. They are 7.5 months apart. So that is its own difficult journey. Don't get me wrong. But it is a different journey. And it's not the same. And it's different having two newborns versus having a newborn and an 11-month-old. It's different. It really is. And again, I'm not saying it's not hard. Irish twin mamas have their own challenges. Don't get me wrong. But it's different. That's how passionate I'm getting. So you're going to hear from a lot of Irish twin mamas about oh, I know what you're going through. My kids are 14 months apart. No, you don't know. You don't know. I mean, again, I'm not trying to make it so it doesn't sound like they are having a difficult time. They are, but they need advice from other Irish twin mamas, and you need advice from multiples mamas, okay? So I'm just giving you permission to, nod and smile and say thank you, but you are allowed to just let things go. Next up, you can go get your partner for this one if you want, because my husband and I learned this the hard way. The first year of having children is the hardest on your relationship. Absolutely. People say the first year of marriage is the hardest. It's not. It's the first year of having children. And whether that's one child or multiples, but especially multiples. It is hard. And it's hard for so many different reasons. Not only is it hard just because your entire life is like an upheaval, but also it's hard physically. You're exhausted on a level that you didn't know existed. It's also super hard emotionally because mama, you are going to deal with postpartum hormones literally for the first year. It takes like a solid year for your body to balance back out. And your life is going to change more than dad's life. It is true. It is going to change more, whether that means you're not going back to work or you are going back to work and you're dealing with the mom guilt. I don't know. I've never really talked to my husband about dad guilt. So I'm sure that is a thing, but I would venture to say mom guilt is more powerful, a more powerful feeling, and moms feel it stronger. But also your body has changed, especially if you've had multiples. Everything is just different. So this is what your partner or your hubby needs to hear. You got to get up with mama at night. You have to do it. You have to do it. At least for those first, for us, our babies, for the first 8 weeks of birth, since birth, 8 weeks postpartum was so hard. I will venture to say I always loved my husband, but I also kind of despised him during that time. I was so mad at him because, bless my husband, who is the most wonderful dad on planet and the most wonderful husband on the planet. But he is a really, really sound sleeper. And so the babies would wake up, every 2 to 3 hours throughout the night. And when it comes to feeding babies, when you have multiples, it takes an hour or two. It doesn't have to, but it just does. It shouldn't, but it does. When it comes to getting them up, changing them, feeding them, burping them, and then getting them back to sleep, when you have multiple babies, it can easily take 2 hours. And then they go to sleep for a little while sometimes, and then you get up and you do the whole thing again. So I would get up, and I should have been waking my husband up. Sometimes I did, but when I would wake him up, he would just seem so unhappy and cranky that I was just like, fine, I'm not going to wake him up. And again, I had all these crazy hormones, so I was thinking irrationally. I became so sleep deprived that I started seeing things. No joke. I always thought that was a joke in the movies. No, it's not. If you are sleep deprived, you literally start to see things. And I did. It was insane. And not only that, but also, I think I've talked about this in a previous video, but you can have postpartum nightmares. And I did. And so that even means the few times that I did get to sleep, I would have these horrific nightmares. And so my sleep wasn't restful or anything. So anyway, it finally got to the point where me and my husband had like this throwdown, blow up fight. Mostly me yelling. Because I was just such a mess. And again, it wasn't my husband's fault necessarily because I should have been waking him up. But I also needed him to, I don't know, I needed him to be more encouraging and supportive and not wake up really cranky. I don't know. I needed some things that were probably kind of irrational, but I still needed them, and I wasn't thinking clearly, and I was sleep deprived and everything. So, husband, partner, whoever I'm talking to right now, just get up. Just for at least those first 8 weeks. I know it's going to be hard. I know, because you're probably still going to go to work. But you know what? Your wifey poo or your partner poo is doing just as much work, if not more, at home with these babies. And their body is changing and they're dealing with insane emotions. something you are never going to understand. You are never going to understand it. So just let it go. You're not going to understand what the hormones do to us. It is absolutely insane. I always thought pregnant ladies were like making it up, or making the exhaustion up, and making the hormone emotional stuff up to get pity. No, they're not. Not at all. It is absolutely insane what goes on inside of our bodies as we're trying to like detox from all of these things. We become super irrational and super emotional and super angry and super bitter and resentful, but we're also the happiest people we've ever been because we have these babies. It's such a roller coaster, and you're not going to understand it. You're not going to be able to comprehend it. So just accept that your wifey poo is going through the most. And so we need your support. So, yeah. As frustrating as your life might become, Daddy-O, it's not going to be as difficult as mom's. It's just not. So just buck up, buttercup. Okay, let's move on. But before we do, if you are enjoying this video, as I'm like laying down the law, I would love if you would consider subscribing. It's absolutely free and it helps out my channel so much. You can hit the subscribe button and the little bell symbol so you get notified when I upload again, which is every Monday and Thursday, most weeks. We're gonna jump into periods. So if this makes you uncomfortable, you can skip forward if you want, but postpartum periods are like nothing you have ever experienced. I think it's because for all of your pregnancy and for part of your postpartum, it depends on when you get it back. Usually when you're breastfeeding, it takes longer to return. Mine returned at about like 12 weeks or something like that. But I think since you go through that amount of time without a period, and it's pretty beautiful and wonderful, then your body comes back with a vengeance and they want revenge. Your postpartum periods are going to be the worst things you've ever experienced. So get ready for that. So my OB explained it as, especially if you either have multiples or you have giant babies or a giant baby, your uterus has stretched out like insane. It does go back down, but it's still more stretched out than it was before. So now there is more, uterus lining to shed and more blood to, come out. And so your periods are now, this doesn't happen for everybody, but I think it's fairly common, so it does happen to most women. Your periods will never be the same after having a child or children. They're just going to be worse. And I have noticed, now I'm like 8 months postpartum, they've gotten a little bit better. They're still hella heavy, but they have gotten a little bit better. But oh my gosh, those first like 5 or 6 were absolutely insane. Like I didn't feel like I could leave the house because I was like, I'm gonna ruin every single pair of pants in my entire life. So I can't leave the house. That's how bad it was. And I'm just letting it all out on the internet right now. I use a cup, and that I've used a cup for over a decade now, and I've never had any issues with, overflowing or anything like that. Oh, until now. Like, it's insane. So if you use pads, cups, tampons, whatever you use, just get the extra absorbent ones for your postpartum periods. And also don't be scared, because it was quite alarming the first couple especially. I was like, this can't be healthy. I'm losing so much blood. But it's just what it is. So just be prepared for that. It's bad. When it comes to losing postpartum weight, I gave myself a solid year before I was going to really worry about that. Obviously, you don't have to worry about losing weight. If you don't have a desire to lose weight and you are super confident and comfortable with however your body looks, then disregard all of this. But I'm going to talk to a lot of women. We gain a significant amount of weight during pregnancy, and then it's a little hard to lose it, or it's very hard to lose it. And so those are the women that I'm talking to, because that is where I fell. I gained almost 70 pounds. I shouldn't have gained that much. A lot of that was, comfort eating and things like that near the end. But I gained almost 70 pounds. I was almost 200 pounds when I gave birth to my babies, which is fine. My doctor was never worried about me, but then I had a lot of weight that I wanted to lose to get back to, hopefully, my pre-pregnancy weight was my goal, because I was at a really healthy weight for my height and my age and everything like that. So I wanted to get back to that. So those are the women I'm talking to. Some women, as soon as they give birth, they're back to their original pre-pregnancy genes. That's cool for them. That was not my journey. So I'm talking to you if you're in my boat. If you have weight that you want to lose. Anyway, so I gave birth in February. I told myself I'm giving myself to the end of the year, which was, like 11 months, before I even worry about my weight. Well, because I just wanted to give myself grace, and I didn't know how my recovery was going to be, all that kind of stuff. So first off, after I gave birth to my babies and started breastfeeding, I lost 35 pounds like that. Like, I came in to my next appointment with my OB and I had lost 35 pounds, and that was like 2 weeks postpartum. And he was actually like, "Oh my gosh, you've lost 35 pounds. He was quite shocked. So I lost that with no effort at all. Then I lost another like 20 pounds with almost little to no effort. And I mean, it took a couple months, but like, I wasn't working out. I didn't start exercise immediately after the 6 week. Okay. Like, my recovery took a while. And so I didn't have much of an appetite, which was very weird. I still don't have a huge appetite, but like, I've always been very food motivated. But ever since giving birth, I haven't had a huge appetite, which actually has been very good for me because I was an overeater for sure. So just like following those cues and not stuffing myself, I lost another like 20-ish pounds. So it was that last little bit, like 10 to 15 pounds in there. I don't know where my math is at this point, but it's been about 10 to 15 pounds since then that I've really had to actually pay attention to. But I've just been watching what I've been eating. I've started working out again. But one thing that just really helps is when you have twins or triplets, you're just naturally going to work out a lot. When it comes to like picking up multiple babies, carrying them around, because when you have multiples, there's almost always going to be one that wants to be held. You're going up and down stairs with multiple times. Loading your babies into the car and then out of the car is a workout in itself. Oh my gosh. Like, I always work up a sweat when I'm just putting my babies like into the car and wrestling them into it and buckling and blah, blah, blah. That is a workout in itself. So don't put tons of pressure on yourself to have your body bounce back. Oh my gosh, please don't. But you are naturally going to lose a lot of your weight just through that. I also want to, this is a very personal video. I'm talking periods and now I'm going to talk boobs. Postpartum boobs. You hear so much about like your boobs will never be the same after you breastfeed. I actually like my boobs better now. I don't know if I should say that. I do. I like them better after breastfeeding. And I guess that's probably not everybody's experience. But please don't like go into breastfeeding thinking like this is going to ruin my body. They're going to be, hanging down to my knees. No. It doesn't. I mean, maybe that does happen to some women, but like it didn't happen to me. Other than like my tummy has some stretched out skin, I'm a little self-conscious about that, but not even. I actually like my body kind of better now. I do. And I'm also just more like, I feel more powerful as a woman now. And like, I am a mother, hear me roar. I carried and gave birth to 2 babies at once. Like, I feel, I don't know. I feel really good. And again, there are definitely places in my body, like my tummy with the stretched out skin. I'm a little self-conscious of that. But like, girls, I've been wearing more crop tops than I ever have in my entire life right now. And I just don't even care. Don't let social media and society make you feel like your body is going to look like a lumpy turd after you give birth. No, you are so beautiful, and just lead into that confidence. And if there are things you want to lose weight, or you know, some women get a tummy tuck or a breast lift after having children. And if you want to do that, go for it. Do it. I don't think I'll ever be able to afford that, but if I could get a tummy tuck when I'm done having babies, maybe I would. I wouldn't be opposed to that. So anyway, just like, you're a mama. That is so cool. Yeah. It's cool. So anyway, that's the last thing I wanted to say. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. This is, this is longer than the last one. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Comment down below if you have any of your own tips for fellow multiple mamas. If you are pregnant or you are a new multiples mama, congratulations. It is the greatest adventure of your life, and I hope you enjoy it. I will see you guys next time.